So good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. So we thank you so much for joining us today. And if you wouldn't mind, if you're not up for speaking or anything, if you wouldn't mind putting your phone on mute, your call on mute, so that we don't have any background interference. But please, as we progress, please feel the desire to come in, engage. You know, that's what we're here for, is to be of service to everybody on the call. And as everyone knows, it is recorded, so hopefully no one minds. And today's special guest, who I am incredibly honored to have on this call with us, is Marci Shimoff. I'm sure she doesn't really need an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways. For those who don't know her as well, she is a #1 New York Times bestselling author. And I'm so proud to say we are a part of that happening for her. She's a world-renowned transformational teacher and an expert of happiness, success, and unconditional love. Marci's books include the runaway bestsellers, Happy for No Reason. That's one of the books we helped with. Love for No Reason, another book. And 6 titles in the phenomenally successful Chicken Soup for the Soul, for the Woman's Soul series. Her books has sold a staggering 16 million copies worldwide in 33 languages, have topped all the major bestseller lists, and have been on New York Times bestseller list a total of 121 weeks. That has to be like huge for a woman. And I don't mean to say it that way, but it's true. Marci is one of the best-selling female nonfiction authors of all time. And what a privilege to have her here today. You're also the host of the national PBS television special called Happy for No Reason. Great title. And a featured teacher on The Secret, and is the narrator for the award-winning film Happy. Oh, cool. Marci currently co-leads a worldwide program called Your Year of Miracles with thousands of participants from 72 countries for living a life of miracles. Marci has inspired millions of people around the world, is dedicated to helping people live more miraculous, empowered, and joy-filled lives. Please join me in welcoming Marci to our show today.
Well, I have to start first by saying, Judy, it is my honor to get to be with all of you today. And in case, you know, she was humble about this, Hasmark and Judy and Jen and everybody there were the reason that my books were on the New York Times bestseller list. Absolutely 100%. So I owe my career to you, Judy, and I'm just so grateful. You guys have been phenomenal to work with, and I just send all of my gratitude to you. And
you're so sweet. Honest to goodness, it was one of the highlights of my career, my life.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a joy to work with you guys. I mean, not only did you get amazing results, I mean, truly, it was with Happy for No Reason and Love for No Reason that you guys did our affiliate launches. And I think, as a matter of fact, you said, I don't know if it's still true, but we hold the record for I think for Love for No Reason, we had 437 affiliates. We hold the record for the most work you ever had to do for a launch. Our book. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it is still the record for the most amount of affiliates for a launch. So yes. So thank you for saying such incredible things. It's such an honor to have you here. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what I heard you talking about this, or I was reading about your PBS special. I'd love to hear a little more about the PBS special and really what you're doing with the Year of Miracles. That sounds incredible.
And then I'm happy to also talk about any of my little tips or anything for authors, or because this is a group of authors, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, the PBS special, I have a wonderful literary agent that is also a dear friend of mine, Bonnie Solo, and she got me connected when Happy for No Reason came out. She got me connected with PBS, and I was very fortunate to have gotten funding from PBS to do a full show on the book Happy for No Reason, and I interviewed experts, and it was a wonderful adjunct to. I mean, it definitely helped promote the books, and I think it still runs in some places 12 or 13 years later. So that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're working on a worldwide program, your Year of
Yes.
Miracles.
Yeah. So after
Wow.
about 5 or so years after I was Happy for No Reason came out, I started waking up in the morning, and the backstory, I'll tell just a super small version of the backstory, is the reason I wrote Happy for No Reason is that I needed it. I was not happy. I had worked really hard my whole career to get everything I want, to make sure that all my goals were fulfilled, and they were, and I still wasn't happy. And so I started doing all this research into what would it take actually to be happy. And I started practicing what I was learning, and it worked. And I went from what I would call, if I was grading myself in happiness, I went from a D+ into happiness to an A. And it's not that I'm still a work in progress. I'm still working on it, but it's solid. And so that's why I wrote the book Happy for No Reason. I was like, oh my God, this works. Other people probably want this too. But about 5 years after Happy for No Reason came out, I started waking up every morning and feeling like my life is miraculous. And what I meant by that is that I just felt like I was in the flow, that things were coming to me out of the blue, that were just these beautiful opportunities. And I was getting to be with people that were phenomenal. You know, I just only had dreamed of. I mean, I work with the Nobel women, the women who've won the Nobel Peace Prize, helping the cause of women throughout the world. I mean, just remarkable things. And I felt like I was living this miraculous life. And I started looking at, well, what did I do to get there? And I think that it's methodical, and I think I can teach people how to do that. So I created this program called Your Year of Miracles, and it's been this, we're going into our 8th year. It's a year-long program where we help people live more miraculous lives. And it's just amazing. But all of that only happened, I'm going to come back to this, Judy, until you get tired of hearing it. All of this only happened because of your help in getting me on the New York Times bestseller list, because that really opened up everything to me. I have to be honest, we were going for #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, and we only made #2. And it's because there was a little book out there that was kind of insurmountable, which was called The Secret. But because I was in The Secret, I consider that I was actually #1 and 2 at the same time.
Yeah, you can take it. It's all yours.
Thank you.
You get to take that credit for that, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. So do you have tips to share? Would you like me to open up the floor?
I do. I've got 3 tips to share that
Awesome.
are these authors that are in any stage of the authoring process?
Yeah, it could be that they've already done a bestseller. It could be that they're on their way to becoming a bestseller. So yeah, they're in varying degrees of the progress with their books. Yes.
Okay. So I've got 1 tip about the topic of the book, 1 tip about the writing of the book, and 1 tip about the marketing of the book. Okay.
Awesome.
So the writing of the book, and probably most of you are already in the process of writing it, but this may be a little too late, but hopefully not. I think there are 2 key questions to ask when you're writing any book, and to really get super, super clear on these 2 key questions, which is, who are you here on the planet for? And what are you here what problem are you here to solve of theirs, or what are you here to? It's because there is a reason for it. It's not an accident. That desire to write a book, it's not the most fun process for most people in the world. And so it's because there's something been planted in you. It's part of your life purpose. And, people don't write they don't write a book generally because it's like, oh, this is so much fun and it's going to make me so much money. It's not the reality. It's because you've got something inside of you that's supposed to be shared. And I believe that we're here to share it with a specific group of people. Now, the group of people may be big, but it's important to identify who is that group of people. And so I like people to imagine that they have a room of 100 people, and they are there sharing their topic with that 100 people. Who are those people? Who would you want to have be in that audience? Are they teenagers? Are they women? Are they people who are dealing with addictions? Are they people who are in transition? Are they people who are dealing with aging and memory? You know, who are these people? And my people, I call them Kansas Jane. They are women. They are generally baby booming-ish women, 45 to 75. The numbers keep creeping up.
Of course.
And they're women who are interested in their lives, in making their lives better, but they may not be super far along in the personal growth journey and the spiritual journey. They may be, but they're just sort of every woman, you know. That's why I call her Kansas Jane. And it's the Oprah audience, which happens to be a wonderful audience. But you have to go for who your audience is, not just who is going to sell the most books. So who is your audience? Who do you want to be talking to? And what are you specifically on the planet to share with them? So my message was all about happiness and miracles, living a more miraculous life, because I didn't have it. Usually our message is born out of our pain. You know, Lisa Nichols says, your mess becomes your message. And so be praising that mess of yours. I'm so grateful that I was born depressed and that I was depressed much of my life, because it makes it a much more believable person to listen to. And the other thing is, make sure that it's a topic you really love and care about, because you are married to this topic for a long time, decades. And what I mean by that is Happy for No Reason came out next month. It'll be 13 years. Came out 13 years ago. I still give hundreds of talks, interviews, you know, whatever, a year on the topic of happiness. So if I didn't love this topic, it would be very painful. And I'll tell you, I could have written, and many people told me to write about success. And success is great. Wasn't what I had a passion for. So have a passion for it. So that's key number one. Key number two is a very, very wonderful technique that I don't know if I learned it somewhere. I don't know how I must have learned it somewhere. I don't think I came up with it. It's a very sophisticated technique for organizing all of your ideas into a book. Now, are most people here nonfiction authors? Do you know if this is a mostly nonfiction audience?
There is fiction as well. Tim and
Okay.
Renata are fiction.
This
and
may,
Angela's children's books.
Okay, this may not apply to your books, but it might. But I know it applies to nonfiction genre. And it's very, very sophisticated technique. It's called the Post-it technique. And what you do is you take 4 or 5 colored Post-its, different colors of Post-it pads, and you assign a color to a particular topic. So for nonfiction, for mine, I have one color for my stories, one color for other people's stories, one color for research, one color for tools and practices and techniques, and one color for the principles that I'm teaching, what it is I want to teach. And then I put one idea per Post-it. And you don't put the whole idea, you just put cheerleading story, or Susan's story, or the principle, what you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. What you appreciate appreciates. So you just put one idea per Post-it. And then you take some of those big Post-it pages, one for each chapter. You put those all around the room, and you identify what each chapter is going to be. That you have to be at the stage where you've pretty much identified your main topics, your chapters. And you go around and put all these little colored Post-its under each chapter. And you see what works together really easily. It's for visuals. And then you get to move the Post-its around, and you get to see, well, what chapters don't have any red Post-its. The red Post-its are maybe my story. And you go, okay, I need some of my story in there, or what ones don't have any research. So it's just a visual way to organize all of your ideas. And I did that with both Happy for No Reason and Love for No Reason. And I lived with those Post-its in my office for the entire time I was writing the book. So that's the Post-it technique. And then the third thing that everybody wants to know about is marketing, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay.
There's the big one.
Yeah, this is not going to be something that you haven't heard. So let me just underscore it, because I know you know this. marketing is all about relationship. And so what I say to do is start creating your relationships way early on in the game. You know, the last thing you want to do is write the book and then start marketing. The marketing for a book starts about 10 years before the book gets written. And the reason I say that is that the biggest key to the success of my books, at least, were my relationships and
Absolutely
the
agree.
affiliates, you know, the people I was able to go to and say, would you support this launch? And it was because I had, you know, I genuinely like people. So that's a help.
Yes.
And I had endorsed a lot of people's books. I had helped a lot of people along the way in whatever ways I could. And I had not, you know, this was my sort of first time going out and saying, hey, will you support us? And I can say I still love my relationships. You know, I still have many affiliate partners who next in 2 weeks are going to start mailing for your year of miracles for me. So really, marketing, it is never too early to start, and it's about creating relationships. And the other thing I'll say about marketing is it's about doing a million things. It's not any one thing that does it, although the affiliate marketing was the big thing, but it was so many different things. It was creating a relationship with I learned from Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen in writing the Chicken Soup for the Soul books that for every book we wrote, we had 1 or 2 or 3 organizations that we donated a percentage, 10% of the profits to. And we created relationships with those organizations. So for Happy for No Reason, one of the organizations that I had already connected in with was Operation Smile. I had given them some free speeches. You know, when Chicken Soup for the Soul was out, I had given them some Happy for No Reason Chicken Soup for the Soul speeches. And when Happy for No Reason came out, they became one of the organizations that we supported. And so they supported us. They wrote all about Happy for No Reason in their newsletters, and that's a, you know, so it's just being creative and coming up with so many different ways of approaching the whole marketing of it. So those are my 3 little tips to get us started. And I am really happy to answer any questions. And, you know, I know that one of the questions that I got was, how do you make your book successful worldwide? Is there a way to choose any countries and how to make it visible in that country? And, you know, I was very fortunate because many publishers did come to us. I think I had maybe 5 or 6 or 7 foreign rights before we hit the New York Times list. But as soon as we hit the New York Times list, we had up to 33. I didn't do anything specific for those countries unless they asked me to do something. And I'll tell you a funny story about, I think it was about, let's see, the book came out in January. It was in November of that year, so 11 months later. I was traveling to somewhere, and I was in the Narita airport in Japan. And I happened to be in one of those, you know, the United Club, because I have certainly flown a lot of miles. And I opened up my emails, and there was an email from my publisher saying that we were #1 bestseller in Japan. And there I was sitting in the Japan airport. I knew nothing of this. And the reason it got to be a #1 bestseller was they had this guy, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, he was like the celebrity brain scientist of Japan, and they had him do the translation. And so they actually had his picture on the cover of the book. I didn't care at all. And they retitled it. The title was "Do Only Good for Your Brain." So it wasn't Happy for No Reason. It was "Do Only Good for Your Brain." And he was the guy. And it was on every bookstore at the cash register, because he was already the celebrity. And it became #1 in the country. I sold, I don't know, 800,000 books or something, but I didn't do anything for it. So I know that's not super helpful for you, because Part of it is just living in the miracle zone that I talk about. It's just sort of being in that flow.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Exactly. And that's sometimes all it takes. It's what I loved about what you said is the relationships. That to me is very important because even though there's a lot of moving parts, when because I know with building the list of people who helped you is because when we talked to Jack Canfield or we talked to Mark Victor Hansen or anybody like that, it was because you had already had a relationship. So they were happy to say, of course, I'll give you a hand. You know, they're more than happy.
Go ahead. I just realized there was something else I wanted to add to that, but you go ahead.
I was just going to say, but it has changed a little bit, but it hasn't changed a little bit. Just what you said. I like that 13 years later, we're talking about the same thing. So it affects things differently today, but it is what we learned 13 or 15 years ago, we still apply to today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that I realized I wanted to add to this is there, the way that you get to become a marketing success is just through a lot of persistence. It's baby steps taken every day and consistently. When Jack and Mark put out Chicken Soup for the Soul, and I'm sure everybody's heard the story. I'll just tell the quick version of it, that they were rejected when they sent their proposal. They were rejected by the first 35 publishers. The top New York publishers rejected them. Most people would have given up by then, but Mark and Jack believed in the book. So they went to the book convention, Book Expo America, I don't know what it's called now, and with manuscripts in their backpacks. And they walked around and they ended up giving the book to 144 publishers. The 144th publisher was the one that said, okay, I think I'll take a chance on this. But they didn't put any marketing money behind it. So, most people would have given up way before that. Jack and Mark had persistence, and they had marketing persistence. They made a vow to each other that they would do 5 things a day to further the book. 5 things a day to make sure that the book got, was continuing to market. That means some days, I remember them telling me that they would go to hair salons and leave a free copy of the book in a hair salon.
Mama?
Instant success.
No.
And somebody in a hair salon would sit there and read the book and go, wow, okay. I love this. I'm going to go out and buy a copy. And that's how they got there. It was through baby steps taken every day.
Yep. And no doesn't mean no. Like you said, 144th publisher before they got a yes, and look at what happened. But even when a publisher says yes, doesn't mean it's the be all and end all.
No, a publisher, it's a myth to think that a publisher is going to make your book a success. Publishers print the books. They get them in the bookstores. They very rarely help with the marketing. So the marketing is up to you one way or another. And that's just the way it is. And so great question from Michelle. How do you get an agent? So I know you've heard this word before, and I can't make it through one of these interviews without saying the word. The word is called platform. Everything in marketing of a book has to do with the size and breadth of your marketing platform. So an agent is only going to take you on if, in fact, they think that they're going to make money. And the only way they think they're going to make money is if they think they can get you a good publishing deal. And the only way they can get you a good publishing deal is if you have a platform or marketing, some way to reach people. And what I would say is if you have that going, then go find your favorite books in your genre and go read the acknowledgments and see who their agent was, because the agent is always acknowledged in the acknowledgments in the book. And you want an agent who's going to represent your specific genre, because that is very, very important. They have to have a connection with your kind of a book. So just find your competition, see who their agents are, and go contact that agent.
Excellent.
How was the book able to be changed? Was that in your agreement with the publisher? Oh, did it still say that we wrote it for the
Ah,
Japan story? What a great question.
yeah.
I had an interesting thing in my contract that a lot of people don't have. I had rights on the cover. So I got to approve all of the covers. I couldn't approve the translations because I can't read Japanese. Um, and they all did, the publisher was able to do the best job they could do of the title to make it work in their country. So even with Chicken Soup for the Soul, a lot of those titles were changed because chicken soup didn't mean much in that country. So I think that I can't actually remember, but I think that is something you want to be able to have the publisher do. You want to have them title it in a way that that works for their audience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What were the
Absolutely.
sections of the colored Post-its again? So for nonfiction, I had one Post-it color for my story, one Post-it color for other people's stories, because it's always good to include other people's anecdotes. It could be, just a little anecdote. One color for research, one color for the principles themselves, the teaching points, and one color for the tools and tips and practices that you're going to teach people. You can also have a color for cartoons or for quotes. We love to have those in the book as well. I think that a nonfiction self-help book needs to really have at least these 4 sections or 5 sections. It needs to have my stories, other people's stories, research, principles, and tools. Did I share my royalties with the brain guy? The publisher probably did. I just got whatever I got from the publisher, and then they dealt with the brain guy. God, I have to find his name out. His name. Anyway.
Yeah,
I had a question for the authors. I was just wondering, what is the one thing that you would have done differently starting your career as an author, that you would look back on and would have maybe changed or?
Yeah. So there are 2 things that I would have done differently. One is internal and one is external. The internal thing is I would have relaxed more and believed in myself more. There's so much of writing and so much of life is an inside job. And I would have really, I think, been much more self-compassionate, self-encouraging, and, spoken to myself the way I would want to speak to somebody else that I was coaching, rather than the way that I used to speak to myself more, which was, I can't believe you can't write this, all that voice. It's taking you so long to make a sentence. What's happening? And then the external thing that I would have done differently is I would have started earlier on to in terms of the marketing piece. I can't tell you how many speeches and talks I gave when Chicken Soup for the Soul was big without collecting people's emails. I just didn't even, other people were doing it and I thought, oh, that's a hassle. And then when Happy for No Reason came out, it was like, well, where's my email list? I'd spoken to hundreds of thousands of people and never collected emails, never gotten, I very much believe in the gift giving, the ethical bribe of giving somebody something for free and then you collect their emails. So that was my biggest regret.
It's true.
I'm having so much fun. What other questions?
I see that Renata has raised her virtual hand. Renata, do you want to unmute your line?
Yeah. Hi, Marci.
Hi, Renata.
How are you doing?
Great.
You look great, Marci.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, she does.
So we didn't understand, I think, the depth of marketing when we wrote our book, and now it's written, but I don't believe it's too late. So as the after person, do you have any tip for the person who didn't do all that ahead of time?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I, as I said, my regret was that I didn't do enough of it ahead of time too. So yeah, you start exactly where you are.
Okay.
You make a commitment to yourself to do 5 things a day. And they can be little things. They could be, you know, looking up. Now, are you in the stage where you're wanting an agent, or
I don't know. We definitely do small things per day to promote
Right.
our book constantly. However, where we live, we're still not able to congregate and do all of this stuff. So it
Yes.
makes it really hard in the outer world, or more challenging, let's just say.
Yes.
But I think I'm going to really hone in on a couple of things that you said. We never went to hair salons, doctor's offices, things like that. And you also mentioned the donating to a nonprofit. And so you chose a nonprofit that you felt was in connection to your book. So maybe that is something that Tim and I could do, is because our book deals a lot with grief.
Oh my God. So here's the thing. Tell me the name of your book.
It's Casting Away: Adventures of a Dead Man.
What is it? Casting Away?
Yes, Casting Away: Adventures of a Dead Man.
Wow, what an intriguing book title. I love that. Adventures of a Dead Man.
And
Okay. So who's your target market?
Well, I would say mostly women over the age of 35. However, we have had a fair amount of males read the book.
Yeah, so your target market doesn't mean that you're not going to have the other people reading it as well, or
Okay.
it just means that it's the bell curve. It's the main part of your market.
I would
And
say women.
so what problem are you solving for people, or what is it that people are going to want to wake up in the morning going, I've got to read that book?
The problem that I believe we're solving is that we wrote the book based on the true events surrounding my brother's death. And what he didn't do in his life was live the dream. And so he deferred his dream. And as we said in the book, it ended up in the graveyard of lost dreams. And so our, I think, process in writing the book was to encourage people to, you can't wait. You could go to bed one night and die.
Okay, so I see two target markets for you.
Okay.
I see one target market for you as people who have lost somebody, but I'm not sure that that's what you really want out of that. I'm not sure if that's going to make people feel worse. It's not a communication from him though, is it?
What do you mean by that?
It's not a book where there has to do with any communication from the other side.
No, what we did was we brought him back to life in the book so that he would go live the adventures of his dreams and do what he really wanted and be with the person that he truly loved.
So it's like a parallel universe dream.
Exactly.
Okay. So somewhere in the description of the book, because I can't tell from the title and the subtitle that that's what it's about.
Okay.
So one thing that you may want to do is make that super clear right up front.
Okay.
That this is a book about regaining your lost dreams.
Okay.
And living your lost dreams, because I got to know in one phrase what this book is going to do for me.
Okay.
So for example, Happy for No Reason, you kind of know from the title and the subtitle, 7 Steps to Being Happy from the Inside Out. Oh, this is a book that's about making me happier. Somebody asked me in the elevator, what's the book, the elevator speech. It's about raising your happiness set point. Oh, okay, I want that or I don't. So I think that it's really important that you identify very clearly, this is a book if you've had dreams and you've lost them, how you can regain them and live the life.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
And then the other thing is, find out who those people are. So your target market is going to be people who are just kind of going through life rotely and not living people who've abandoned their dreams. So start writing blog pieces for, little pieces for there's a million blogs out there that you can contribute a piece to about that.
Okay.
You've got to really identify, oh my God, that's the other thing. Oh my God, I can't believe that I didn't share this. I don't want to go over your time. I'm so sorry.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
okay. It's okay. We've got till 12.
Okay, good. So here's, oh my gosh, this is one of my very most important pieces.
There is no time limit with you, by the way.
Okay. Well, I want everybody to take out a piece of paper and if you've got one, this is like the biggest little tip. When people ask you what your book is about, everybody goes into describing the contents of the I could care less about the contents of your book. I'm so sorry. All I care about is this. I don't know if you can see it. Draw a little T, and on one side write pain points, and on the other side write promise. Pain points and promise. On the pain point side, you want to get in touch with your target market and feel like, what are their pain points? So for example, with Renata, one of the pain points was they feel frustrated because they've had dreams and they aren't living them.
I would also say, Marci, disillusioned.
Okay, good. So frustrated, not living their dreams. Disillusioned. They feel maybe hopeless that they can't. Yeah?
Yes.
They feel maybe stuck. They're stuck in work that they don't want to do, or in whatever it is that they're stuck in in day to day. Maybe they're bored.
Yeah, unfulfilled.
Okay. Unfulfilled. Very good. Okay, so you get the idea. Those are your pain points. You draw a little arrow across and you write the opposite in the promise. So the promise, instead of feeling frustrated, is they're going to feel fulfilled and joyful living their dreams. Instead of feeling disillusioned, they're going to feel, what's the opposite of disillusioned?
How about clarity and awareness?
Yeah.
Perfect. They're not going to be confused. They're going to have clarity and awareness. Instead of hopeful, they're going to have great hope. They're going to be inspired. That would be the word.
That's a great word.
Inspired, yeah.
Yeah, instead of stuck, they're going to feel like they're in the flow. So so you notice there's 3 P. I have to add in the first P. The P at the top is the process. The process is what's moving you from the pain points to the promise. But when people ask you what your book's about, you don't explain the process to them. That's the boring part. Well, there's 10 steps. Boring. You say to them, my book is for people who have been frustrated because they're not living their dreams. They might feel disillusioned or hopeless. They may feel stuck or bored in their day-to-day life and they're unfulfilled. They know that there's more. And after they're done with the book, they will feel clear and have awareness about how to move forward. They will have hope and be inspired. They will feel like they're in the flow and fulfilled and joyful going for their dreams.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, well, that's the book I want. So you're just selling
I
the
do too.
points and the promise. You're not selling the process.
Hey, hi, Marci. It's Tim.
Yeah, hi, Tim.
Hi. I just wanted to say that Renata is Lenora Boyle's friend.
Oh my God! Hi, Renata. Oh,
Hi, Marci.
hi. Did I endorse your book?
Yes.
Oh my God! Yes. Oh, my dear, dear, dear friend, Lenora. Oh, that's wonderful. And she's just a brand new grandma.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh, I'm so glad, Renata and Tim. Thank you. I'm glad you reminded me of that. That's wonderful.
And it's great to see you and have you on the call, Marci. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great, Marci. What an incredible, that bang on, point on, as if you didn't know that. But
I always love to share that with authors, and I can't believe I almost forgot. So thank you, Renata, for bringing that up.
Exactly. I know we got some others with hands raised. I know Christine, she had hers, and Mark, I know we're going to get to you too. Christine?
Hi,
Hi, Christine.
how are you? You're so beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my question is this, that do I wait until publish the book to translate to another languages, right?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it all depends upon whether you're going to self-publish or go to a publisher. Because if you go to a publisher, most often they're going to buy the rights to the book in another language. If you're self-publishing, you want to, perhaps you could go, I think this is a very individual kind of a question. You want to publish it in the language, in the place where you think it's going to have the most effect or the most audience. So Christine, are you self-publishing?
No, I go with the hash mark.
It is a version of self-publishing. Yes. So she retains her rights to her book. So
you retain the rights. Do you
But she
have a
retains the
country?
rights.
Well,
Do you have a country
I'm
that
sorry. I think we have internet connections problem here.
That's
Oh,
okay.
Sorry
Where are
about
you?
that.
Where do you live?
no, she is. I think she's
Christine, where do
frozen.
you live?
She's in California. I know that.
Okay. Yeah, the idea of an international translation, it really depends on your own connection to the work itself. I mean, if you're bilingual and you want to translate it yourself, by all means, go for it. Um, I have to be honest, I really don't know that much about the translation piece because I was just, that's where I felt like the universe, that's the thing. I also believe that the universe is the other part of the team. It's not just me doing it. And so it's really important that we get hooked into that kind of energetic flow, the whole law of attraction stuff and all. That's a real big piece of the pie.
And in respect to the translation, to me, is if she's got the audience in a different country, in a different language, then go. Don't why would you wait? Because if they don't speak English, then what are they, what are they waiting for? And again, she owns the right, so she can go into any country she wants in any language she wants. So
I would also think that if there's a big demand for something like that, she could actually sell the rights to a different country.
That's right.
That's
absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought of one other quick thing I'm just going to add, and that is that I used a lot of all the principles that I speak of and teach about of manifesting and all. I really did those things. I used to walk through the Minneapolis airport. I was in the Minneapolis airport a lot. I don't know why. I was living in Iowa, that's why. And I would have to connect through Minneapolis. And there was one particular bookstore in the airport, and I would visualize, happy for no reason, being in the window of that bookstore and, saying New York Times bestseller. And I did that for a year before the book came out. And the book came out, and one day I'm there walking through the Minneapolis airport, and there it was in the window. I
got goosebumps.
It was like, oh my God, it really happened. So, visualizing isn't everything at all. It's a combination of visualizing and hard work, but I really believe in the combination of all of that. There's a little formula that I've always, coach of mine taught me when I was in my 20s, and it's 3 steps to manifesting. It's intention, be very clear about what you want. Attention, put your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions behind it, meaning even including your visualization, that's part of it. And then no tension. Let go, relax, trust, be in the flow. And that's the piece that people have a hard time with, intentions. For you, different people have a different challenging sticky point, but for me, the no tension piece was the hard one. And it was when I would go into, I was very good at being clear about what I wanted, and I was very good, Peggy wrote a book, I think, called Dog with a Bone. What was it?
Yeah, A Dog with a Bone is exactly.
Dog with a Bone.
Yeah,
I was a Dog with a Bone. Peggy and I were actually in a mastermind group together that would meet every week and further our causes forward. And so you have to be a dog with a bone, but then also you've got to be in this state of flow, in the state of relaxation, in the state of the miracle zone, I now call it, or being happy for no reason, because that's where the magic really happens.
It does. It does. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know there was another question. Yeah.
And Mark, I know you wanted to.
Yeah, I do. Greetings from London, Marci. I'm a
little bit. Hello in London.
I'm a little bit in awe of you here right now. The secret literally changed my life in 2006. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was the incurable disease that I was diagnosed with, and the secret at the same time.
What a great combination! Good timing for the secret to come along during that.
A friend of mine, I was a DJ at Ministry of Sound when I was in my 20s and 30s here in London, and I lived a bit too much of the fast life, and basically my body gave out on me. And I'm writing this book called Life Remixed. but I had to come into this.
Ooh, great title.
Thank you. Yeah, it's called, and the subtitle is Looking Beyond the Dance to Face the Music. Because I traveled to 65 countries. I went all over the globe, blah, blah, blah. I did lots of stuff. But
Oh,
I'm not
how wonderful. I want to stop there for a moment and just say titles matter. They really matter. And, you know, at one point, you know, if Chicken Soup for the Soul had been titled 101 Great Stories, I don't think it would be where it is. Or, you know, Mars and Venus. John Gray is a dear friend of mine. You know, it's a title matters, and I love that title. So really, and great subtitle. So okay, go ahead.
And I've learned so much. I've got about 3 pages of notes just listening to you.
Oh, good.
I'm doing lots of stuff that you're saying already, but there's so much more I've got from just listening to you. So thank you for that. One of the things that I wanted to mention was your piece or your quote here on The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida, where you wrote, "As a woman, I've never felt so understood and validated." As a quote. Honestly, I've used that in my coaching with people so many times. It's such an amazing thing to say about this book, and I use your words often. So again, thank you, because
that's great. Actually, David Dado, at the time, I took many courses with him, and he was
so powerful,
very helpful.
Yeah, amazing. He's fantastic. But that quote from you on there really helps explain that title. So yeah, one of the things I'm doing as well, I'm using something called StreamYard, and I'm streaming across all of my pages and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and everything all at the same time. And I'm marketing as much as I possibly can. And I feel that I can do more. But my big question really, because I was talking to Judy about this yesterday, the New York Times thing, because that's something that me and my wife have aimed for. We want to, I've got a decent following from all my pages, probably 30,000 people out there that would know me as a DJ from around the UK, which is not a bad start. But we want to keep reaching and reaching and reaching as far as we can. The New York Times thing, was that like almost immediate for you on release? Or I know Judy told me yesterday, which I wasn't aware of, which is great news, that actually it takes 6 months, you've got to do it in a week. I know that, but it can happen any time after the first 6 months of the book release. So within the 6 months of the release, that's right. And so we've only really started marketing properly in the last month or two, like heavily, 4 or 5 times a week live. But we've actually got, after the February release, we've got until August to be able to hit that. So we've got quite a bit of time. But how was it for you? Were you already
right? So here's the thing. I might say something unpopular. The New York Times thing is crazy hard.
Yeah.
And it's crazy hard because it's not just numbers. It's, some people, we don't even know who they are, sitting in a room on a Wednesday morning deciding which books to put on there. I have a dear friend who sold 22,000 books in the first week of her release, and she didn't get on the New York Times list. And there were books on there that had sold 5,000 books that week, and they did get on because, it's somebody's brother's cousin, or I don't. And here's the other thing about New York Times. When I was coming out, I was in most of us, if you're a self-help book, you're going to be in the category of advice, how-to, and miscellaneous. And there were 40 slots available back then. And by that, I mean, there were 10 slots in the hardcover and 10 slots in the paperback, and then 10 extra slots that were called just the overfill. In other words, they were like extra. So it actually went from 1 to 20 in each of those categories.
Yep.
So you had 40 books in that category of self-help would get on it in a week. Now there's only 10. Wow. They took off the extended list. That was called. It was the top 10, and then it would go to 20. There was extended. They took those off. So that then brought it down to 20 books. And then in our category only, they combined paperback and hardcover. So you are now, there's 10 slots, and there's some books that are just always going to be in one of those 10 slots. It's going to be the 5 love languages, and what to expect when you're expecting is almost always going to be on there. So there's 8 slots. So the answer to your question is, nowadays, I did come out right away out of the gate and get on the list the first week out, because it was for me the easier way to go. I don't know how long Judy probably knows the answer more than I do about that. You can take up to 6 months to get on there, but I just no longer think it's the Holy Grail.
Okay.
It was 10 years ago. Now, you know what I'm seeing is I'm seeing podcasts being hugely successful. Huge way to get in there. I mean, I didn't know podcast. I mean, I was on interviews, but you know, maybe having your own podcast since you were a DJ, that would be a great thing to do. I don't think that I think it's really, really hard to go after the New York Times. So
that's interesting. No, it's really good feedback. And we are doing many, many things. And yes, the podcast thing is something at the moment I'm guesting on lots of other people's podcasts as part of the PR and the marketing. However, yes, it's something that's on my radar to start.
Good.
And if possible, if we can send you the book, would you have a little look at Life Remixed at some point?
I would. Send me the PDF version. And for people that want endorsements, there are 3 things that I need for endorsements. One, it has to be in my genre, basically. I can't really endorse a book that I'm not so great at fiction because it's just not my genre. So that's number 1. Number 2, send me just like a highlights chapter. And number 3, send me a sample endorsement that you would love from me, and I will edit it. I long run out of endorsement juice.
That would be an absolute honor just to even be considered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mark, you can get that over to us. We'll get it.
Yes, and Judy.
We'll help you. We'll get it over to Gina, and then she'll help make it happen. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome.
So we do have a few more minutes. I think Mona, although she's gone off, I know she had a question. She had raised her hand, so I don't know if she's going to come back on. In the meantime, anyone else have questions here?
I kind of do, actually.
I am here if you want.
Oh,
if you're still.
go ahead, Mona. Go ahead.
Oops.
What? Do I talk?
Yeah, go ahead, Mona. You got the floor.
Yes, I'm sorry. I am away on vacation, so there's a lot of disturbance around. Hi, Marci.
Hi.
Thank you for your time.
Happy
Thank you for your valuable personal advices. Thank you very much. So when you talked about being compassionate with the writing and with the marketing process, it really made me think about most of authors are artists in a way, and when you're an artist, you're like, I'm very good at marketing, but when it comes to art, it's very difficult. So you feel like you have to go to a step where you detach from your art and your book before to start in the marketing. I don't know if you
I think that I'm going to be bold here, and I think that that's a belief you have. I don't know that it's necessarily true. And the reason I say that is that there are people who are artists who are very passionate about getting their work out and not needing to do that detachment. So perhaps it's a belief that you have that may be holding you back, that you might want to question. You might want to look at perhaps trying on a different belief.
Yes. I feel like that's what happens to me when I'm creating something. There is always a point where I detach from it, and then the marketing happens. But before detaching from it, before considering it as if I was buying someone else's stuff, it doesn't happen. I need to detach from it before starting the marketing.
Well, that could just be your process, and then if it works,
it has to be a belief. Yeah, you're right.
You know, that's okay. If it's working, you don't need to fix it.
No,
if you think it could work better, then you want to examine whether there's another belief that might be more supportive.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Okay, I think there's one more person. Yeah,
our buddy Dave.
I have a question. In the beginning, you were talking about partnering or supporting an organization, right? Where you're giving 10% to some charity or something like that. They will in turn support you.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you do it because it's what you want to do, and you know, I was a little strategic about it because it was organizations that I felt would support me as well, but it's not an obligation.
Okay, that's fairly important. Like part of that obviously this is your marketing thinking brain that is going forward with that. And what I'm thinking about is, how would you find, or what are you looking for, organizations that have the same, they're in the same genre or the same vein as your book?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we did Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul, we looked for organizations that supported women. Chicken Soup for the Pet Lover's Soul looked for organizations that supported pets. Happy for No Reason, smiling and happiness is related. So it's ideal to look for something that has some congruence with the topic of your book.
And so you're, how would I approach them in order to have them support me back?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't wanna
that's
sort of
again,
leave that
relationship.
too-
I had given
Yeah.
speeches to Operation Smile, and I knew people there, and sometimes you can cold call the organization, but sometimes it's through just connections that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. What an incredible call today.
Well, thank you. I the last thing I want to say to everybody is congratulate yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
writing a book is been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And writing and marketing a book, it's no easy feat. It's a big deal. And so congratulate yourself and really connect in with and celebrate yourself and connect in with the purpose that you had. I know that it's the goodness of your heart that wants your message to be out in the world, touching, inspiring, or helping other people. So I just really honor you for being brave and courageous and getting your message out there.
Thank you.
What a
Thank you
beautiful
so much.
message.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Marci.
Yes,
Thank you
the
so much.
information
Bye-bye.
was wonderful.
all.
Thank
And
you,
Judy,
Marci.
Again, thank you for making my career. Thank you for making all this possible.
You're so very welcome. It's our privilege or honor. And thank you again.
All right.
You
Take
stay
care,
well.
Bye.
Thanks, Marci.
Yeah.
everybody
Thanks,
else.
everyone.
Blessings to you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.